Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Confident Dancer YouTube channel or podcast. If you're listening there, today I'm joined with my friend Jess, who was so kind to reach out. Jess and I know each other because she participated in the Confident Dancer coaching program, my individual mindset coaching program, and had just such a great experience working through the program and has been so generous to reach out to want to share about that experience with all of you. So, Jess, thank you so much for reaching out and for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I just realized that I'm like so happy. I'm like starting to like tear up. So thank
What?
you for allowing me to be here.
Oh my gosh. The love, the joy, the excitement, it abounds. So I'd love to just start by hearing more about your background in dance and where you're at in your dance journey today.
Sure. So my ballet kind of timeline has a lot of zigs and zags. So I think it was back in 1992. I was 6 years old. I started taking classes at like our community center in the town where I grew up. And it was just like the kind of dance of like just play and maybe we'll teach you a few moves at the same time. Um, Maybe a few years after that, probably around 1995, I went to my first Nutcracker. Um, Friends of my mom, their daughters were in it, and it was like a community Nutcracker. And I remember going and just having that moment of, I want to do that. And um, that's kind of where this took another level. So at that point, I had moved out of my community classes, went to kind of a more serious, more committed ballet school where these girls in the Nutcracker were going. It was called Academy of Ballet for Children. Um, they also had a performance arm called the Children's Ballet Theater. So I was like taking classes and then I was auditioning for performances. And over time and over years, I was dancing 6 days a week. I was very much on a pre-professional track. People in my class very much had their sights set on becoming professional dancers. Some did go on and have that career. We did point, we did partnering, we did summer intensives, like the whole shebang. Um, I danced lead roles in a lot of shows like Nutcracker, Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake, La Bayadere, like all of that. Um, and around 2001, 2002, I was in, I think, a junior in high school, and I just stopped dancing cold turkey. Um, Looking back, I realized that I was really burnt out. I had also a lot of barriers and obstacles that I didn't know how to overcome as a 16-year-old. Both internally and externally. So barriers and obstacles within myself and my belief in myself, and then just barriers and obstacles of what my parents were willing to say yes to. Um, and I really didn't know how to overcome them. So I just stopped. Um, Kind of took a conventional road with college, going to college, picking a major, getting a job, being a normal person. And After I graduated college, I moved to the city of Philadelphia and would work 9 to 5 and then kind of be like, what do I do with the rest of my time? And had tried to get back into ballet. I tried taking a few open classes at a studio here in the city, but was really at a point where my relationship with food and my body was the biggest barrier. Um, my issues with food and my body were so in my face, that even just putting on a leotard felt painful, let alone standing in a crowded room
Oh,
with like 50 other people and dancing. So I said, okay, like that door is closed, and went on to kind of live my life without ballet. And what ended up happening was I had discovered I was an emotional eater, went on a major like health and wellness journey, and went about really doing a lot of self-discovery, self-healing that led me to the career that I have now and the business that I have. But all while I was doing that, between like after college and my late 20s, um, Catherine Morgan popped up on YouTube. And I felt like this part of myself being seen for the first time because she was doing videos about her time at SAB and um, periods while on, in
the real
ballet,
stuff.
and yeah, pre-performance rituals and stage makeup and how to prepare point shoes. And I felt like that, like really nourished a part of me that never saw, like, it was never widely accepted growing up that you do ballet. Like, if you do ballet, at least in my world, it was kind of like you were an outcast or a unicorn. Like all the kids growing up did sports or they did music. Nobody really did ballet. Um, so I'm going about my life periodically watching these YouTube videos about ballet, and finally kind of just got to this point where I was like, I'm I'm going to go back to dance. I'm going to go back to ballet. I'm going to try again because Catherine's story was all about her illness and stopping dance and leaving her professional career and then kind of building this new road. And that really inspired me to kind of like not give up and try again. So I found a neighborhood studio here in Philadelphia that I felt more comfortable with, and um, I started taking classes about once a week. It was a really positive environment. It was the first time of being in a room where there wasn't any professional ballet attachment. It was just like we do ballet because it's fun and we love it.
Mhm.
And I was like, yes, this is for me. And I remember my first class back, this at this point I was in my late 20s, so like probably 26, 27. They played a song from Sleeping Beauty for pliés, and my like inner child was like, yes, like this is it. We are in the right place. And I just kept dancing. Like once a week, I would go to ballet. It was what I would do. Um, and as I kept dancing, I started to have these desires pop up of like, I want to perform, I want to do point, I want to get back to a really high level with this thing called ballet that I love. And then 2020 hit, COVID happened, and everything shut down. And I just really was clear that dancing in my basement just really wasn't for me. It wasn't feeding me in the way that ballet had as an adult. So I just fully stepped away, all while still watching YouTube videos of like ballet performances, Catherine Morgan, like just really seeing this amazing kind of like opening in the public around ballet. So I was still kind of feeding that part of me that loved it. And then, um, as the world started to open back up and and even during the pandemic, ballet was getting a lot of airtime because people were dancing at home and more people were being exposed to it. I just kind of thought it was really cool.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think Catherine Morgan had um, like publicized that she was going to do a workshop here in Philadelphia one weekend. And this is now in like 2023. And I signed myself up when I hadn't been dancing in like 3 years. And I had this moment of like, well, if I'm going to go do this workshop in 5 months, like I need to start dancing again. Like this, that would not be wise to just go in cold turkey to a weekend workshop. So it was kind of like, let's try again, let's try different. And I was really clear after the pandemic that I wanted to do a lot of things differently in my life. And I not only in business, but in my personal life, and ballet being one of them, of like, no, 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 like we're not going back. We're going to do this even better. We're going to, take it to another level. Um, so with that in mind, I found a teacher I loved. I started taking classes once a week, then turned into twice a week, and um, just really felt my soul light up again for my love for ballet. Um, and now, fast forward to today, I dance probably anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week. I have an amazing community of adult dancers from all different ages, from all different careers, from all different walks of life. It's extremely diverse. We all nerd out on like ballet. Ballet is such a love of mine. It's such an outlet. It just really nourishes me in another way. And it's become like a major asset to my physical, my mental, my emotional health. And I feel really grateful that, now at 38 years old, I'm probably dancing better now than I was back in the pre-professional days. So I just see kind of like the sky's the limit for me and ballet and its role in my life. And I'm just really excited for like what the future holds in the ballet world.
Your journey is so beautiful and inspiring, especially given how much like reconnection to yourself, redefining of your place in ballet, what ballet is to you, who you are in that community. There's so much of that that happened in re-entering ballet for you. And I just think
Yeah.
that's so beautiful. There are so many more resources now that are helping dancers to engage with dance in a healthy and more holistic and life-giving way, whether you dance um, with the goal of becoming a professional, or you are a professional and you want to advance to that next level, or you really just dance for the love of it and for yourself. There are so many more resources now to facilitate that. And I love that there's a greater emphasis on how important that is, like looking at the dancer as a human and not
Yeah.
just oh, you don't fit into this little cookie cutter conveyor belt existence of like you do this and then you do this and then you do this. Oh, well, if you don't fit that, then you don't matter. Or your
Yeah.
journey isn't legit. I think your journey actually is a beautiful example that that doesn't have to be the case anymore. And it's been so exciting to be a part of that process for you. So I would love to hear
Yeah.
next what motivated you to reach out for this mindset support around dance.
Yeah. So in 2023, when I went back to ballet as an adult for the second time, um, this like really weird thing started happening to me. So I loved ballet, loved when I got there, being there, class, like all of it. But when I would get dressed or when I would get ready for ballet and do my bun and, put on my clothes, close out the work day and kind of go about my hobby, um, I remember I would be standing in my bedroom alone, and all of a sudden I would get this, what felt like a sucker punch to my stomach. It was like this complete sucker punch, like an energetic sucker punch every single time I would get dressed for ballet. And it would last for a few minutes. And it just kept happening. And the more classes that I did, the more it would show up. And it would always kind of take my breath away. It would kind of like make my knees buckle a little bit. And from a lot of like the personal healing work around food and my body, I'd come to know a lot about myself and my emotions and really see a lot of the ways that my body communicates with me. But with this experience, I was having a really hard time deciphering, like, what is this? Like, what
Mhm.
are you, like, body, what are you trying to communicate? Because what you're doing is extremely painful and like it's catching me really off guard. And I'm having a really hard time understanding what you need from me. And um, so that was like happening every time I would go to ballet, and I would try to access it. I would try to journal about it. I tried to talk to like, people about it or my experience, and like nothing was like penetrating it, nothing was absolving it, like nothing was helping. Um, so that was one thing. And then what I started to also notice is that there were these old patterns showing up in class where we would get to a certain point of class, and then when things started to get hard, I would have like almost an inner temper tantrum and like just kind of black out, where I would like not really be focused anymore. I would kind of spend a lot of my energy wishing adagio and turns were never a part of ballet class. Like just like hating essentially 45 minutes of the class. And this is old behavior of mine, and it caught my attention, and I was just like, oh no, 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 no. Like no, 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 Jessica, like we are not doing this. So putting those two experiences of mine together, I was really clear that if this behavior continued and it didn't change, I would stop dancing, because both of these things were like A, painful, but B, really no longer in alignment with like who I was now and how I show up in the world. Like I am not someone who rages against challenges. I'm not someone who avoids difficult things anymore. But here were two challenges that I really was struggling with even touching. Um, and I remember, I think, watching maybe one or a few handfuls of your videos. And I was also clear that these issues of mine were not something I was going to be able to tackle in like my sessions with my business coach or my sessions with my general therapist. Like these were very ballet specific things for me. And I was just really clear that like I need someone who can help me understand this.
Hi, Puffy.
Inter- intermission break. Hold on. Okay.
Bye, dog.
So
Also, your shirt is amazing.
yes, I wore it for today.
Love.
Um, So with those things in mind and realizing this could really like risk me losing my love of ballet, I kind of got connected with you through some internet synchronicity, and I just kind of was like, let me see if she can help me. Let me see if she can support me through this. And yeah, I think that's where I like filled out the application on your website, and then kind of like the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so grateful that we connected and that um, you're so clear with yourself about what is and isn't worth it for you in your pursuit of ballet. I think it's really admirable. First, your just how much self-awareness you have and how much of a commitment you have to living a life that's in alignment with what's most important to you and who you want to be. That's truly admirable. And when you're that clear as you are, it's easier to set those boundaries of like, okay, if that doesn't change, this really isn't worth it to me anymore. And the level of clarity you had coming into our work together just made it that much easier to support you because hearing your challenges the first time we met, um, first, I have so much empathy for them because so many dancers who come to work with me are just like I was, whether our challenges are exactly the same or slightly different. We're like, okay, I've talked to people about this, I've journaled, I've tried some things, but there's just something very particular about the experience of a dancer where some of the mental challenges that surface are so peculiar
Yeah,
and they can affect us so much, whether it's blanking out or in a moment of difficulty, or for some dancers like myself, performance anxiety used to be a huge part of my experience. And just having general life advice around that wasn't effective. So, being able
right.
to support you and so many other dancers, whether they're recreational, professional, pre professional, competitive, all dancers. I've worked with all sorts of dancers. I know how effective and also just healing it is to just know that whoever is helping you sees you and they see, the unique experiences that only dancers know.
Yeah. And the other thing, I am a person who strives for excellence. Like I'm an achiever, I'm a learner. Like if I'm going to do something, like I'm all in. That's kind of like my nature. So that was also like a driving factor of like, wait, I can't be my best in this arena, aka my hobby and my love of ballet, and I can't get myself to be my best on my own. So I really need help, helping myself even have the opportunity to achieve it. Um, but also I was like, I think I shared, like I saw the risk of losing my love for ballet
Mhm.
again. And I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Um, because I received so much from it. It's such a big asset to my life. So that's when I was like, oh no, no, no. Like we are
Yes.
not. We know
Yeah.
what life without ballet is like, and we're not doing that again.
Yes. Yes. Again, kudos to you for knowing what you are and are not willing to lose or to continue to go through. And I know that for so many dancers like you who have gone through this experience, as I have too, due to an injury of like losing ballet for a time and then choosing to
Mhm.
re-enter, that re-entry can be like a rebirth, seriously, because you get to
Yeah.
like heal a lot from the past, maybe some of the mentalities that didn't serve you that were just handed to you from ballet culture generally, or your specific teachers or studio environments. You get to re-enter it and choose what you want your relationship with dance to be. And that's so empowering. And when you've experienced how sweet that is, of course you wouldn't want to lose that again.
Yeah. And that was really what I think adult ballet post-pandemic really showed me. And then our work together really reinforced that, like, this is a new chapter. Like, I'm not trying to go back and live out dreams that I had as a 16-year-old. Like,
Yes.
that ship has sailed. I am at peace with that. I love the career and the work and the trajectory my life has taken. And I was kind of feeling like these cords were still attached to me from that past experience. I would even say some traumatic experiences from ballet in my childhood that I was clear, like, in order for this to be a new chapter, for me to really create what I want long term with ballet, there needs to be things let go of, there needs to be things cut, like literally
Mhm.
cut out, and then there needs to be things that are embraced. And that was something that I don't think I knew coming into our work, but now looking back, I can see that, like, oh no, like I started rewriting this chapter differently because of our
Yeah.
work together.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's very common that in the start of working individually with dancers that we do end up looking at the past and how what you've experienced in the past is affecting your present. It's very normal that dancers will experience these symptoms that seem really strange. And we often call the symptoms the problem. Like maybe for you, it was the really strange body sensations or the experience of like blanking out or getting really angry all of a sudden. For most people, we're like, what's that?
Yeah.
For a lot of us, at least in my experience too, I've had the thought like, I thought I was better than this. Like, I thought it was,
Mm-hmm.
I've thought logically about it. It logically doesn't make sense why I'm experiencing this. So what's up? And like, no amount of just positive self-talk makes it go away. Again, whether it's these bodily sensations, performance anxiety, self-doubt, for some dancers it's why can't I stop caring what people think? Why do I keep
Mm-hmm.
holding back when I know people are watching, even though I'm in my head saying, dance bigger, go for it, go for it, go. But there's something holding us back. And that's really, it has a lot to do with what's going on in our subconscious mind, which is very informed by our past experiences and our memories. So getting to dive into that and do whatever resolving we need to do, whether it's looking at past memories that maybe just abruptly got put away and never resolved, never revisited. That's
Mm-hmm.
normal for dancers like above the age of 18, even. It's very normal that we have experiences that are very beneficial to revisit and start to reframe and explore like, how did those past experiences, even the ones that we might not think were that big of a deal, how did it inform my belief systems, the way I see myself, what I think is possible for me, my sense of belonging or worthiness to experience all of this? They do have an effect. And so I'm so happy to know that doing that exploring in the beginning of our work together laid a great foundation to be able to then look at your present and then even the future. I see that progression very normally. Like we look at the past, what's holding you back? Where are these challenges coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And we look at the root causes of those and seek to create solutions around the root causes, not just the symptoms you're experiencing. Because, I mean, you probably could have guessed, oh, maybe if I just breathe through this pain, it'll go away. No, that's just slapping a band-aid on the symptom, not addressing the root. But once we do that, then we can start looking more at the present. Okay, what's not working for you in ballet class? What are some very maybe small picture things? Like particular habits that you don't like, repetitive thoughts that are just coming up over and over again, or emotions tied to dance that aren't serving you right now. And then once we work on that, then it's time to look more towards the future. What do you want next? What are your goals? What would
Mhm.
make you so excited? So yeah, going through that progression is just really beautiful. And going back to you, I would love to hear more about what changes you saw in yourself through our work, particularly in those two areas you discussed, like hating adagio, hating
Mhm.
pirouettes, the stomach pang thing. What changes did you see?
So, with the like getting dressed, like sucker punch to the stomach, that went away pretty immediately after a few sessions together. And what was really interesting was that it went away without me even really realizing it until I was like, wait, what did happen to that? Because I haven't experienced that in a while. Um, so that went away, but like what replaced it or what came from the release of that was going into each ballet class with a real focused intention.
Mhm,
Um, what was really interesting was I think you and I had set intentions of like, what do I want to lead with when I go into a class? And um, my response was, I want to have fun. I want to be focused and I want to be friendly. And I remember that, and that still is true to this day. I
mhm,
still go into every class that I sign up for with those in mind. But instead of like going into a ballet class, kind of carrying a lot of unresolved trauma and baggage and emotions and, you know, flashbacks and all of that, I was going into ballet classes with this is what I want to create now and into the future. So it really set me up to be much more intentional with how I go into class, for class to be a tool for me rather than a punishment or just kind of getting on with time.
mhm,
It's so it became like a freedom of my energy to focus on something much more productive, like my intentions, like how do I want to enter into an exercise? How do I even want to feel at bar? How do I want to go through a class? How do I want to face challenges and have the opportunity to repattern those behaviors of mine? Because as a kid and especially growing up, I after a point in time, I kind of would go into class with dread because I knew it would be hard. I knew I would get uncomfortable and like just like when can the pain be over? Where now as an adult, it's like, I don't want to go into class with dread. I want to go in with like joy. Like, I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to listen to classical music. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to express myself. So, like, I wanted to have that freedom. And so that was one of the first very immediate shifts from just a few sessions together. Then, as far as like blacking out and hating 45 minutes of class, I think I stopped blacking out like within the first session that you and I had together. Like we talked about it, we did some exercises together about it, and like it just stopped. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I am awake. I
Whoa.
am alive. Like I am at bar. Like I am staying present the first 8 counts of adagio. I am retaining combinations. Like that was something that would
Amazing.
happen from just blacking out is I just wouldn't know the combination because I just wasn't literally
Yeah.
present. So now I like know the combinations and I like, but even taking it further to like fast forward to where I am today, even I think it's been almost a year since we completed our program together, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I love adagio. Like,
That's right.
adagio is fun.
Yes.
And I will even do it twice in class. Like, I will, when my teacher is like, if you want to go again, do it again, I will always put myself in that group
Wow.
to do develop pace again. And like, it has opened the ability to like have a deeper sense of mind body awareness of like, where is my hip? What muscle am I using? This, like, focus on this, don't focus on that. And where before I was just literally raging so much inside about how much I hated adagio that of course I couldn't work from that place. Of course I
Yeah.
couldn't progress. I didn't even know the combination. So, like, to now where it's like where I even do exercises at home to support my strength during adagio, and I willingly do that and I love it. And it's just really given me the ability to like nerd out on this aspect of class that I used to hate so much and not be able to tolerate the discomfort to the point where I would like literally leave my body for
Yeah.
class. Like, I would be in the studio, but I wasn't like actually in my body. Um, but then even that's rippled out to other aspects of my life because I have a history of like checking out, like emotional eating is a version of using something to leave or cope in an unhealthy way. I was able to then take what we did together around ballet and look at other areas of my life of like, where am I checking out? Where
Mm.
I'm present, but I'm not really present,
Yeah.
or I'm disassociating. And maybe I'm not using anything like I used to in the past with food, but there were still areas of my personal life where I wouldn't want to be somewhere and I would literally just quote unquote leave my body. And healing this relationship and these things with ballet allowed me to stay present in more than just ballet class. It allowed me to stay present in difficult conversations and difficulties I'm experiencing in my career. Like, it allowed me to take that ability to be like, accept the challenge.
Yeah.
How do we want to address this? What are tools we can use to do it? And then stay with the process. And
Yeah.
that was something that I really took away from our work.
Yay! That makes me so happy to hear. It really does. And to just break it down for people so this change, which is really amazing, I don't want it to just seem like magic or like so mysterious that people are like, what? How? Wow. I mean, people are probably still going to have questions, and you can sign up for a free consultation if you want to talk about that.
Do it, do it, do
The how
it.
is like in the program, but uh I want to demystify it a little bit to say that some basic overarching themes of what you and I dove into, uh, to accomplish that change specifically around adagio, and the steps where you used to check out or feel like, like a lot of resistance towards, is we talked about a couple of things. First, looking at what were you trying to avoid? Like, what were the narratives that you also had around these steps, whether it was around your own ability, or the step itself? For adagio, a lot of us hear this, like, we get spoken, this gets spoken over so many dancers again and again and again, and every their weekly ballet classes. Little cues like I'll be nice. I'll skip adagio today. We've all heard teachers say that. And so over time, that can really build up this narrative in your mind that it's something to avoid, that it's something that we all collectively don't like. So it's okay to not like it. That causes you to fixate on the discomfort you feel and frame it in a negative light. Like, see, this is why we don't like it. When you keep reinforcing those narratives over and over again, it gets your mind focused on not only the discomfort that you're experiencing, but it's your brain is probably so focused on the discomfort that the discomfort seems even bigger than it actually is. Because it's not like discomfort just goes away when you really enjoy adagio. It just gets framed differently in your mind, where your mind literally interprets it as like this thing to be proud of. Like, look, I'm holding this. It gets interpreted as something that leads to gratification. So adagio can be the same thing, but we can have radically different experiences of the same step depending on what beliefs you have around steps like adagio or turns, and also any sort of past experiences you might have had that have caused your subconscious mind to associate adagio or turns with embarrassment or like just pain or whatever it is. We need to clear those away so that we can then, and this is another thing we did, look at what are actually the parts that you can really experience as pleasurable or rewarding. Even if you do still primarily feel discomfort, what can be rewarding about that? And what is a higher purpose that you want to um, endure that discomfort for? Usually
Mhm.
the steps we really enjoy are framed that way and we don't even know it. A lot of dancers like things like traveling across the floor. If you really chose to focus on it, there could be some discomfort associated with it. A lot of times you're tired, it's cardio heavy, but we've learned to frame that and interpret the discomfort in a way that's actually really gratifying. So those are just a couple of things that I know you and I talked about, and I hope some dancers listening are resonating like, yeah, maybe me hating frappes isn't because frappes are literally terrible and they always have to be terrible. Maybe they've just had some past experiences around it that cause you to feel that way, or you have some beliefs that are causing you to hyperfixate on the discomfort you feel instead of seeing it as like a game, a challenge to rise to, something that can be rewarding or gratifying. And look, when we change the way we feel around certain steps, you are the golden child example of this. Like, you want to practice, you want to
Yeah.
work. And then that just creates this upward spiral of, since you're practicing, it's probably getting better. That feels good. We like to feel good. And then you want to do it more. So
Mhm.
that's an incredible way that our minds practically affect our trajectory and our performance and our experience of different steps. And it's just so cool that we get to talk about this and share your story so that hopefully other dancers are listening and they're like, you know what? I've just accepted that I hated this part of class. Maybe my challenge to you who might be thinking that is to ask, does it have to continue to be that way? Do you want to change it? Girl, if you want to change it, you can. That's what I'm out
Yeah.
here screaming from the highest mountaintop. We don't have to accept hating certain aspects of class or our dance journey. We don't have to accept constantly living in insecurity or whatever it is that affects anyone who's listening. Um, so thank you for being so specific as well and sharing how these certain issues affected you. It's really, really helpful for all of us to be able to kind of relate to your experience. And I'm sure so many dancers are feeling like, yeah, I resonate with that part. So thank you.
Yep. And if we're ever in class together, when the teacher says, okay, now adagio, I will verbally say, yay, and probably be the only one, but for good reason, because I wasn't
Yes.
always that way.
Well, you are doing the Lord's work because we need more people countering the negative just narratives around steps like that. So yes. I'd love to hear next if there are any particular aha moments that you had through our work together, like revelations or lessons that really stuck out to you as transformative.
Um, I remember at one point you shared like the zones of competence or the process of competence. And um, that was really impactful when it came to ballet because I guess I was under this unconscious belief that like change with ballet should happen like fast. Like
Mhm.
I should be able to get something and get it fast and implement it. And like if someone says put your shoulder down, like I can put my shoulder down. Like I was expecting that kind of trajectory with all things in ballet. And when I wasn't experiencing that, let's say with adagio, for example, I would get very frustrated and black out and check out and not really know why. And for example, when we started unraveling my relationship with adagio and just my mindset around it, you gave me this framework for how I would learn something. And I think the first zone, if I remember correctly, was unconscious incompetence,
Mhm.
which was another way of saying, you know, basically you're in denial. Basically, you're unaware of like what you're not good
You
at.
don't even know what you don't know, and you don't
Yeah,
care because you don't know what you don't know.
unconscious incompetence.
Right.
And then there were like these other stages, and I really saw that like, oh, I don't go from unaware
Yeah,
to like a pro. I
right.
There's like even these points of challenge, and I could really mark for the first time kind of where I was on a trajectory of growth, particularly
Yeah,
with a skill like adagio or ballet. And that actually allowed me to just relax so much more into
yeah.
discomfort. But it also now something that I do, especially like with adagio, which is still a challenge for me, but I will make sure that I highlight for myself what was even 1% better, what felt a little bit different, what used to be a year ago impossible for me. Where am I actually showing capability now?
Yeah.
And I actually had a conversation with my teacher where she had said to me, like, you need to continue to highlight your progress.
Mm.
Otherwise, you will get frustrated and you will stop. So, like,
Yes.
just even knowing about, because I'm an achiever, how to harness that to like play the long game essentially
Yes.
to run the marathon and to not get frustrated in the 1% but to celebrate it and to really value it to the point where like that's the motivation to do my exercises or to really ask questions about adagio,
Yeah.
ask questions about these aspects that are challenging for me. So that was the pathway of competence was really powerful, not just with ballet, but in all
Yes.
areas, even with work, like
Yeah.
amazing. Um, and then something that still stays with me, um, and I often think about was at one point we had a conversation around worth and self-value
Mhm.
and kind of um, unpacking my fear of being too good, which is,
Mm.
a past, not even a past thing with ballet, but a past thing with life of being ashamed when I shine too bright or ashamed of certain attention or ashamed of essentially who I am in some ways. And I don't remember what started us in the conversation, but I remember us really changing literal neurons in my brain around how I saw myself
Yeah.
and my belief in myself and letting go of shame of being personally empowered or being bright or being funny or be like there were so many aspects of myself that I would be so ready to squish if I
Hmm.
made someone else uncomfortable, um, which is extremely hard to do in ballet because all throughout class, there's going to be different people who are in different strengths, and it's just natural for human eyes to gravitate towards someone and watch them in that kind of transcendent moment where they're
Hmm.
just really, I don't know, they're like almost like accessing something supernatural when they're doing something so good. And I was so ready to not let that happen
Mm.
because of the fear of how I would make other people feel. So when our conversation, our work started to get into that, it really changed me as a person to not just see my own sense of worth, but to see everyone as worthy and valuable humans, regardless of performance. It kind of put my sense of worth as something that's unconditional, where I feel like in ballet, and even this culture, it's so performance focused. It's like
Yes.
you are worthy if you do this and do that and do this and
Hmm.
do that. Where from our work together is like no, you are worthy, period. End of conversation. No footnotes needed. Like,
Yeah.
so it kind of shifted it from like my worth being dependent on my performance to
Mm.
my worth being literally inherent
Yes.
and not only am I worthy, but to see other people, my
Mm.
classmates, people I walk by on the street as like seeing their worth and value as well, and it not being dependent on what they do either. So it
Yeah.
just really changed my perspective on a lot of things.
That's so beautiful because yes, we're woven into the community, the global community of all human beings. And naturally, when we not only see our worth, but we also start to see the worth of other people, I think it also increases our sense of permission, like, oh, I can stand in my worthiness too. Worth, self-worth is not about seeing yourself as better than everyone else. And when we have that assumption, even playing in the back corners of our minds, we will resist standing in our light because we think it takes from someone else. We think it is an act of disservice to other people. But when you know how to embody healthy self-worth and healthy confidence in a way that is actually humble, it's authentic, it's rooted in love, then you can see how it's an act of service to show up in that way. It
Yeah.
provides, it like literally can create this light in a room where other dancers actually have opportunity for healing. I've literally seen it when dancers start to embody this, then you don't even know who you're speaking to just with your body language, with your presence. Someone in the back could look at you and see you make a mistake, but respond with such self-acceptance that something in them clicks and is like, maybe I'm allowed to do that too, or to feel this way too. And it can, I'm just a big believer that this is one way that we can all participate in not only living to our fullest potential, but also shifting the culture around us. It, be the change you want to see. It's
Yeah.
true. So I'm really, really grateful that our work helped you to get to that place because it's so beautiful. It really, really is. So thank you so much for sharing all this and being so generous to share your journey. I really hope that dancers feel encouraged that this change is completely possible. I love to tell dancers this, like, it's so normal to see ourselves as the exception. Like, I am uniquely stuck. I am uniquely not good enough, or whatever it is. Or maybe things like this program can work for some people, but not me. It is not true. Well, believe me, I'm the common denominator in all the people I've worked with, and I'm seeing change in every single person, hundreds of people. And if you want to engage, if you want to change, you can change. I mean, is that true?
Yeah, 100%.
It is. All that's required is you want to and you engage, you show up, and you have an open mind, and that's it. So, thank you again for sharing all this. And are there any final comments or encouragements you'd love to share with the dancers listening?
I think just based on what you said there, one of my perspectives was kind of like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I get it? Or why can't I do this? Or why
Mhm.
can't I stay present in my body? Or why can't I turn? Why am I not a turner? Why am I not an adagio person? Um, and I really realized that that was like a story I was writing for myself. Like I was telling myself I can't, and then my actions were
Yeah,
following it. And working with you really gave me the opportunity to change that, right? To be an I can't to not even an I can, but I'm gonna try. And I am capable of trying. And then to value that effort and to then actually build it towards I am someone who can do adagio
yeah.
and you know and to love it in an unconditional way. So I think for anyone who's in that place of like, what's wrong with me? Why can't
Mm.
I fill in the blank? That's a mental framework that if you want it to change, it can. Like it can change.
Mm.
And I think something that we're seeing in our culture and our society is just how powerful our minds are and how we really need to work our minds
Yeah.
just like we work our bodies. And that was something that I knew coming into our work of like, I have all this physical help and learning the technique and perfecting it, but like, I need the mental and the inner game too. And I'm just forever grateful for the work that you do. And I think, like the future is very bright and I think it's very needed, not just for us as adults, but especially for the younger
Yeah.
generations. There are a lot of great resources out there. And I want to make sure that the younger generations don't follow a lot of the traumatic trajectories that a lot of ballet dancers have. Um, so your work is needed, and I'm really grateful that I got to receive it and will continue to receive it. And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Jess. Can I take a brief moment to also highlight what you do in case anyone is interested? Because I
Oh,
know you also do really awesome work, and one of my friends has
sure.
actually worked with you and loved it. The world is small. So, can you briefly tell us about what you do?
Sure. So when I'm not in the ballet studio, I am the founder of Escape from Emotional Eating. I started that work back in 2011. As some of you heard that it had some connections to ballet and body issues and food issues. And I was an emotional eater and didn't know it because I didn't have hundreds of pounds to lose. And that was a major awakening. And I just really saw a need for um, like food issue support
Mhm.
for high achieving women. And when I got my issues with food resolved, I just really set out to kind of pay it forward. And yeah, so I've been doing that work since 2011. I Yes, we do know someone in common who I've worked with, and yeah, and I've worked with a woman that I actually met in ballet a few years ago,
Awesome.
and it's just really cool to see how everything is connected. And
Yeah.
from one coach to another, I just really value you and the work that you do in the world. So thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this has been so good, and I hope the dancers watching or listening have been really, really encouraged. I'm sure people are. And in case anyone is curious, like about who the Confident Dancer coaching program is for, it really is for dancers ranging from pre-professional, professional, recreational. I've worked with dancers of all genres, all ages. So it is really open to everybody and it's an individualized program. So it can definitely be tailored to everyone's personal challenges, personal goals, needs, where you're at in your training or career. So just wanted to highlight that for dancers who might be like, man, I'm really clicking with some of the things you're saying, but maybe I'm a professional dancer or this, that, the other, whatever. It really is for everybody. So just wanted to highlight that. But yeah, thank you again, Jess. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye.